Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. I've got quite an assortment here on the table, and one thing about that these all have in common is they're all 22 caliber, 22 LR specifically. 22, I've often said, is not an effective self-defense caliber, which I still stick to, but it's sure a lot of fun. It's inexpensive, and it's a perfect way for a new shooter or a young shooter to get into the sport. And one thing you can see just from looking at this table, 22s are unique. They're interesting. So these are all 22 handguns. There's of course various assortment of 22 rifles out there, but today we're just going to talk about handguns. And it may not be a Red Ryder BB gun, but they're also really perfect Christmas gifts for new or young shooters, of course to be used with supervision. So I'm going to kind of just go through these, show you which ones I like, which ones Hammer likes, which ones really are unique and fun to shoot. So I'll probably start with the most unique one on the table, and this Ruger Charger. Basically, it's a Ruger 1022 Action in a unique chassis. It comes from the factory just like you see it. This is the takedown. You push a button, you rotate it, and you can separate it. And this bipod, you pull down these little pins, and you can extend the bipod. And it does come right from the factory like this, so there's no modification here. So this, as you see it, is legal. And with the 1022 Action, it's quite reliable. Sticking with the uniqueness factor, there's this Rough Rider. This is quite unique, highly impractical, a lot of fun at the range. It's a single action loading gate style revolver that is just cool to shoot. It has hideous, absolutely positively hideous sights, but it's still quite a bit of fun, and it's been reliable. With these nice wood grips, it's even kind of a cool looking thing. If I move a little bit around, I can get myself to this Ruger. This is a Mark IV target. And these just fit nice in the hand. They balance well. And by the way, I'll take a quick deviation. Both Hammer and I have safety checked every single one of these. They're all unloaded. We did that before we started. And I'm not going to pull any triggers today because all of these are 22s, and most of them are not dry fire safe. Some of them, like this Ruger are, they're designed where you fire it at multiple points. You pull the trigger during the takedown process. But as a rule, with 22s, you don't fire them, dry fire them. Now this particular one, I said that really applies to the Mark III. The Mark IVs have a button you push and the whole thing just comes right apart and you don't ever have to touch the trigger. But it's the same ergonomics as the Mark III. It feels the same, it works the same. It's just a lot easier to maintain. Let me back up and cover a couple things that I may have overlooked. First off, this target model has these fiber optic sights. They're really easy to see. They're not night sights, really don't need night sights on this, but they're very bright fiber optic sights. And it's both windage and elevation adjustable. So you get a lot of cool features. You do get interchangeable grips. You can swap these grips out, but these grips that come with it from the factory are really quite nice. They fit comfortable in the hand. And backing up just to a couple that I went through, this revolver holds 6, and it is a loading gate, so you're loading them one at a time. So you're not going to go through a lot of ammo fast with this one. Now this guy, on the other hand, takes the standard 1022 magazines, whether it's the little 10-round box magazine that drops in here flush, or the banana-shaped magazines that hold 25, 50, and more. So you've got a lot of versatility on this one, and a full Picatinny rail at the top so that you can put red dots, optics, scopes, whatever it is you want on it. So you can make these things quite fun. So now let's pick back up where I left off. This one. This is the Beretta 92-22. This one comes with the threaded barrel. They come in a couple variants. There's also a sniper gray version of this. I wanted the threaded barrel version of it because it's a functional threaded barrel. And the nice thing about this one is it comes ready. You just pull the barrel cover off, the thread protector off, and you can thread a standard 1/2x28 22 suppressor onto it. It comes with suppressor height sights, and they're bright 3-dot sights. They're really easy to see. It's a full-size Beretta 92, so it's not a 2/3 replica like some 22s can be. It's a lighter gun, of course, but it's not super light. It has a single slot Picatinny rail, and fundamentally it's identical in function to a Beretta 92, to a regular centerfire Beretta. This one actually became my favorite when I got my hands on it. A couple others as we go through might have been my go-to, but if I want to go to a range day with 22, I take this guy. It's just fun to shoot, easy to shoot, comfortable. You can't really get away from the old-fashioned hammer-style guns for a good range day. When you combine that with an inexpensive ammo like 22, it just makes for a good day. Now I've got this. This is a Glock 44. It's extremely light. It is a full-size frame, and not that the gun is full-size, but it's a full replica of a Glock 19. So it's dimensionally accurate to a Glock 19. And it works like a Glock. The triggers are basically the same. It's reasonably reliable. It has occasionally not like certain ammos, but that's kind of true of all 22s. You're going to find with 22, if you stick with CCI, most guns will run fine. You start getting into some of the other buckets of bullets kinds of things, and some will lead them, some won't. This one, most ammo it works well with. The really kind of edgy, low-end ammo, it'll kind of hang up. I like this gun. It's got it's got your standard Glock U-dot sights. I like it. It's fun. It's reliable, but it's a Glock. And the thing about it, from a 22 perspective, it's good for training, but it's not as much fun at the range as some of these other unique things like this one. So even though I do like it and it does work well, it rides out with me less often because it's like shooting my 9mm Glock. In that case, I'll shoot my 9mm Glock. But if you are looking to train inexpensively, it's a good way to get going with that. We'll move to this one. This gun I also really like, the Smith & Wesson Victory. These have been around for quite a while. They come in a couple different variations, and they're moderately priced. Now I like this gun, and it works well, and it has a threaded barrel. Now Hammer doesn't like it as much because you see where the safety is located, and it's very, very light. It's very easy, if you've got larger hands, to bump that safety while you're firing it. So this one, as he was firing it, the safety would kind of automatically go on, and really what was happening is he's got larger hands and he would hit the safety lever as he was moving about. So if you've got large hands, this gun may not be as good for you because of the safety lever. Beyond that, it's been a reliable gun. It's got wonderful sights. Again, these are not night sights, they're just fiber optic sights. They're a 3-dot, green at the front, yellow at the back. Really easy to see, and it's really easy to shoot well. It's comfortable, it fits the hand well. It's a little on the heavier side, but it also is rock stable. So this is a fun gun. There just might be a caveat with some hands that safety might be a problem because it is so easy and light to operate. But beyond that, the gun does work reliably. One last note before I put this guy down, this one also has adjustable sights. And you'll find a lot of 22s have adjustable sights, whereas other centerfire counterparts may not. And by adjustable, they're fully adjustable, height and windage. Common because 22s are popular target guns. Now let's go to one of my favorites and Hammer's favorites, and also a quite reliable gun, is the PPQ 22. There's two versions of this, with and without the threaded barrel. This is the version with the threaded barrel. And the threaded barrel in this case is an adapter. So you screw the adapter onto the barrel. You take a thread protector off, you screw the adapter on, but it comes with it in the version that comes with the threaded barrel. And it'll again convert it to 1/2x28 for any standard suppressor. This one has blackout rear sights and a fiber optic front sight, but we added the fiber optic front sight. It's a Walther sight, but it didn't come with it, so we had to get the sight from Walther, so it's a factory sight, but put it on, versus it coming with it. I do believe there is a variation of this in a marketing package that comes with that sight. This particular one didn't. This gun is just nice to shoot, the PPQ trigger, and it's very, very close to the centerfire trigger. It's a really accurate replica of the centerfire trigger. The same grip ergonomics, the same feel, and it's a full-size, it's not a 2/3 size or a reduced size replica, and all the controls are the same. This one just works. I don't care what you feed this thing. It just works. Some of them are a little more temperamental than others. This one is a good one if you want one that just works, that's comfortable, especially if you've got a PPQ. Kind of similar to the Glock from a training perspective. If you've got a centerfire PPQ, this is a good inexpensive trainer. But for some reason, because of that awesome trigger, this is a little more fun to shoot than the Glock. So having the centerfire versus the 22 on this one doesn't seem to matter to me as much as with the Glock. Now this thing, this is not a tool from my toolbox. This is actually a gun. When you put the barrel down, there's a little clip here, and the handle, you lock the handle out, there's the trigger, which I'm not going to pull. I've got to gotta lock the handle will lock when I've got it cocked. But it locks out like this, and you pull the trigger. It's a single shot. So you put 122 in the barrel. Let me open it up. You put 122 in the barrel, and then you close it, and then you cock it, and you fire 122. Not the most practical thing on the planet, but it is cool. You're probably asking, what is this thing? It's called the LifeCard 22. You can actually see it on there. This is kind of meant as a get-off-me gun. It actually is designed as a self-defense gun, the gun of last resort, the last round kind of thing, and a get-off-me gun. But it is kind of cool just because of what it is, because it folds up into basically a credit card size. Of course, obviously a lot thicker than a credit card. Is this a good range day gun? Not particularly. Is it just kind of cool? Yeah. It's one of those things, you get this out, you shoot a couple rounds with it for the novelty of it, everybody has a bunch of fun, you put it down, and then you pick up your PPQ and you go on with the rest of the day. Because the majority of these hold at least 10 rounds for the regular handguns. The revolvers tend to be 6 to 9 depending on the gun. So some of these will hold 12 or 15. So you've got quite a bit of magazine-fed capacity, the ability to just keep on going and having a grand old time. And you can go through a number of magazines, and you're spending a few cents a round. And the weird thing about the current market conditions, last time there was a bit of a crunch, you couldn't get 22. You could get 9 and 40 reasonably easily, 45, but you couldn't get 22. Right now, 22 is everywhere. But you can't get 9, 45, and 380. So that opens up this, not just for family members and new shooters and bringing younger shooters in, but it's a good way for you to get out and keep your skills sharp with ammo that you can get versus ammo that right now is virtually impossible to get. One here that's in the center of the screen, this one here is actually quite a nice gun. It's a Sig Sauer 1911-22, and this one has interchangeable grips, so you can change the grips out. And I've got a video on the grips for this one. They're really, even the factory grips are kind of like a G10-ish rubberized type grip. They're nice, but this just really kind of added some class to it. Functionally, the gun just has worked. The only thing we've noticed with this one is after a while of running, it starts to get dirty and starts to hang up. It's a little more temperamental to getting dirty than some of the others. But it's a full-on 1911 operation. It's got the 1911 style safety. The trigger, which I'm not going to pull, operates just like a 1911. It is single action. It is a full-size replica. So again, like most of these, are not 2/3 replicas. It has nice 3-dot sights, real easy to see. There's a lot to like about this. It even has the 1911 style grip safety and a really deep beaver tail, so you're not going to get hammer bit. This one is just a lot of fun. And the other reason sometimes this one doesn't go out is because if you're going to take this out, take something else too if you're going to do a longer range day, because you really can't get more than a few hundred rounds before it starts to get dirty and hangs up. Now, once you clean it, it's perfect again. So it's not wearing, it's not failing, it's just that the tolerances are a little tighter on it, and as it starts to get dirty, it starts to get ornery. I'll put that guy down and go to the next one. And by a few hundred rounds, I kind of mean 200, maybe 300. It's that early it starts to hang up. But again, once you clean it, it's back to business again. Got another Mark IV. This is a Mark IV Standard. And this has just kind of got more of a classic look. It's got the same easy takedown. Now, unfortunately, this one has blackout sights, which makes the sights a little bit harder to see. So this one's not as easy to pull nice tight groups with, not because the hardware is not capable of it, it's because it's harder to see the target and line up on the target. Comes with that same nice black grips, which are again interchangeable, but these grips are nice. They look nice, they're kind of classy, they've got a nice texture, but it doesn't bite into you. It's easy to hold on to. And everything about the Mark series, whether it's a Mark I all the way up through the current Mark IV, it just fits nice in the hand. It feels good. This one has the taper barrel, whereas the other one had kind of the bull barrel. Bring that guy back. So there's multiple different flavors and variations of the Mark series. In fact, I've got one more Mark series I might as well bring out, and that one is this Mark III 2245. And these are just cool. It's got a Picatinny rail, it's got a vented barrel, it does have the threaded barrel, so you pull this your thread protector off and you can put a suppressor on it. It comes with blackout grips. I put these on there, VZ grips, because they just work perfect with this gun. The combination of the blue and the grips is just an absolute perfect combination. And if you don't like the blue, they come in red and a couple other different colors, as well as silver and black. Now, this one has fiber optic 3-dot sights, and they're fire sights, Williams fire sights. And this one is a Mark III, so it's a little more difficult to take down. And I've got a video on how to disassemble and reassemble a Mark III or any of the Mark series prior to the 4. It's easy to do once you know the right steps and which way to hold the gun and when to pull the trigger and when to whack it and where and all that. But the Mark IVs are available now on this series as well. So if you like the gun and it's cool and you want one, but you don't want to deal with having to know exactly how to disassemble and reassemble it, you can get this in a Mark IV, and it'll have a button back here, and you push the button, the top pops off it, just like the other ones that I showed you. And overall, these are fun at the range. They're cool to look at. They shoot well. They're reliable. Other than the disassembly process, they're actually relatively easy to maintain once you know how to do it. And they're not very temperamental. These are another gun, any of these Ruger Mark series, that'll eat just anything. So if the best you can get a hold of is a bucket of junk ammo, chances are pretty good it's going to run. And even if you get the occasional dead round, which happens, you cycle it, inject it, and just keep on trucking. I've noticed with these Rugers, the Mark series, as they get dirty, they don't get temperamental. They just keep working, and they keep working until you're tired and ready to stop. Next one in the series is this Ruger Single 6. Now this happens to be a convertible. It's a single action loading gate style revolver, and it comes from the factory with 2 cylinders. One's 22 LR and one's 22 Magnum. So I'm including this one in this lineup because you can have the 22 Magnums for, let's say, if you were going squirrel hunting or small game, or flop out in the 22 LR for even smaller game or a good day at the range. Now, because it is a loading gate style, you're loading them one at a time. So you're not going to tear through lots and lots of ammo with it, but it is a fun gun, and with the fiber optic sights, it's actually very easy to see your target and shoot this well. And it's a nice looking gun. Just, you look at the lines of it, it's got a very classic line. Now this also happens to be the new model, or you'll see new a lot in some of these Ruger single action revolvers. And basically what the new designates is that it's got the redesigned trigger fire control group, so that it's a rebounding hammer and it has internal hammer safeties so that you can actually leave the hammer down on a live round. One of the characteristics of this and many of the other single action revolvers is that you didn't want to leave the hammer down on a live round because it actually sat on the primer. And if you dropped it hammer down and hit the spur, which is usually quite pronounced on these single action revolvers, you could actually get an unintended discharge. So if you see new Vaquero or new whatever in these Ruger single action revolvers, that's what it designates. It's the new design. Fundamentally, it's the same revolver. It's really just the fire control group. And the triggers on these are actually really, really nice. So the changes they've made for the safeties, most of that all takes place while you're cocking it. So as you're pulling the hammer back, which they're single action, that's how they work, as you're pulling back the hammer, you're disengaging all those safeties. So it really doesn't affect the trigger pull. The safeties are not like a Glock, let's say, where they're disengaged as the trigger pulls. They're disengaged before you even put your finger on the trigger. So they don't affect it. So don't let that deter you. Don't think you've got to get the old model with the lack of those safeties to maintain a good trigger. It really doesn't affect the trigger at all. And all of these single action revolvers, especially these Rugers, have really, really nice triggers. Now, I've got a ray gun from outer space. Or is it a Beretta Neos? This is the Beretta Neos 22LR. They come in a couple different variations. They have a longer barrel. They come in a silver variation, instead of the black. These kind of just look like a ray gun. They got that whole Buck Rogers kind of thing going on. This little curve in here. Does have a full rail. It's not a Picatinny rail. It's the Weaver style, but Picatinny things will fit on it. You just kind of have to play with them a little bit to get them to set right. So you can put red dots and things on this. The bolt is back here, kind of a slide, combination slide bolt. Safety is here. Now this safety sticks down, and you might think that you'd have the same problem that I talked about on the Victory, but the way this is shaped, Hammer didn't have a problem catching this safety unintentionally with his hands, and I think it's because of the way it sits, it's not really prone to flicking up on its own. Now the problem you may have with it is if you have really large hands, it almost sticks down into the area where your hand would go, and it may be prone to poking you. It's kind of got a kind of a squarish edge there. It may be prone to poking you. It doesn't do that to either one of us, but if you want to look at one of these, pick it up and make sure that it's going to fit, that safety is going to fit nice in your hand before you get it. And of course, when you're in fire mode, the safety's up and it's out of your way, which is most likely why it doesn't bite into each one of us, because really the first thing you do when you pick it up at the range is you flick the safety off and you're ready to go. Takedown in this one can be a little bit of a trick. There's a button you push right here to release this wheel, and it's a thumb wheel, and you unscrew it. And you can get it tight where it's hard to unscrew. And if you don't have fairly strong hands, you can actually get it to the point where you can't really easily unscrew it. And the way the thing works is you push the button in, you unscrew this. This whole top assembly, which is the barrel and everything, comes off. And once this comes off, then you can disassemble the bolt and the fire pin and everything else. It does come completely apart for cleaning. So you're able to clean the firing pin channel, the springs, the whole gun, which with a 22 is actually pretty important because they tend to get fouled up relatively easily. This one I like. I like shooting it. It's not my favorite, even though it is among the coolest looking of them, just from the design and style of it. It does have an adjustable target sight, and it's a U-dot similar to the Glocks, and it's really bright and really easy to see. And it has an indicator that tells you whether or not it's cocked and ready to fire. This one is probably one of the, maybe the second or third 22 I acquired, and I bought it simply because of the way it looked and the way it felt in my hand. But I've not been disappointed by it. It just works. It works reliably, and this is another one that'll eat the good stuff and it'll eat the junk stuff. So when I've got my hands on some junk ammo, because that's all I could get, I know I can feed it to this, I can feed it to the Rugers, and they really won't complain. I don't show it to the Glock, it'll put its nose up, but, and of course these revolvers, the revolvers, they're going to eat everything, and again, if you got a dead round, you just go to the next chamber, you just rotate the cylinder, go to the next chamber. So to kind of sum up, we've got reviews on all of these, so we'll put links to all the reviews, so it'll be a nice long list of videos. We can basically kind of program up quite a bit of viewing pleasure for you if you're interested in any of these. But really what I wanted to come out of this with is that 22 is fun. 22 is a usable round for practice, for a fun range day, and it's not just about routine practice, doing your drills. It can be a good way to be out, have some fun, enjoy yourself, not spend a pile of money doing it, possibly take the entire family with you. You know, if you've got 2 or 3 kids and they're all mature enough to fire a firearm at a range, and you go out with your whole family, it's not going to cost you a ton of money to get it done, and it actually is quite a bit of fun. One of the things you find with these 22s, they don't make a big bang, they don't kick, they don't stop the range like a 454 Cazul might, but you really come out of it with a smile on your face. And that really is the whole goal, is to have a good time and enjoy yourself, beyond just the self-defense or hunting capabilities you might get with a regular centerfire gun. Past that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe. Check us out on Facebook, Patreon, Twitter, Instagram, pretty much all over the place, and have a great day. Thank you.